Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn. Dr. Greg Celaya is our guest. Jamie Kaufman is coming up next in about less than 10 minutes from now. And we're looking forward to speaking with her again, too. We'll be talking about acid reflux. We're now talking about a gluten-free diet. Gluten is used in everything, Dr. Celaya. I mean, it's in ice cream, it's in ketchup, it's in so many different products, and sometimes it doesn't say gluten. How do you know what is gluten and what isn't?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And the reason it's used everywhere is for the mere fact that it's cheap, and they've hybridized these grains to make a huge amount of them, and it actually tastes pretty good, right?
Right.
And they put it in burgers, they put it in everything, and, it's a tough one. I think nowadays with the gluten issues, I think people are pretty careful because they don't want to be scrutinized as far as, you go to a hamburger store and all of a sudden you've got gluten byproduct fillers, and next thing you know, somebody scrutinizes your stuff and you're on the news and people are suing you. So I'm not quite sure at this point. I don't know. You can't trust everybody, but it's a tough one. And there is different ways.
But how do you at home buy ketchup?
We buy ketchup that we trust the manufacturers. And so, a lot of these things are sold in stores that if they did sell something that was wrong, would probably be in some big trouble.
You mentioned the word hybridized. Hybridized?
Hybridized, yeah.
Right, which is cross-pollinating the wheat to do what you want. Is there any difference in doing that than doing a genetically modified wheat?
Yeah, it's a whole different creature, and as far as I know at this point, we don't hybridize these grains yet. I'm sorry, my apologies. We hybridize them, but we don't GMO them.
Right.
So,
and we're about to get a glut of fake fish on the market. We'll be talking about that in a couple of weeks here on the show.
Yeah.
I call it fake fish because they're genetically modified salmon.
Yeah, it's going to be a big problem.
It is going to be a big problem. Some people are going to get very ill from that.
Oh, well, it's a tough one. So.
What I don't understand is that I don't understand how they do it at all. I in biology class, I went through Mendel and his genetic formula and blue eyes and brown eyes and blonde hair and dark hair and all that. I remember that distinctly. But recently, and I think you're the one who told me that when they genetically modify something, they put in Roundup, actually, which is a Monsanto product, into the DNA.
I don't think I ever said that, but for example, when they do, let's say, a corn product, if they manufacture it, genetically modify it, so to speak, and it's the company that manufactures it at the same time they manufacture Roundup.
Right.
They make it so it's resistant to Roundup, so the farmers can spray up to a week before harvest to kill the weed. So they don't put the Roundup in the product; they just make it so it's not susceptible to.
Actually, I've talked to a couple of people. They're actually adding it to the DNA.
Maybe they do. I don't.
We have to check that out.
You got to stay away from that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I can remember, and I said this, I think, in the last couple of weeks. I remember my dad walking around the house, the backyard and the front yard, and taking Roundup and spritzing it on weeds.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know. They said it was safe.
Well, it's now basically shown as far as the World Health Organization to cause cancer.
It's carcinogenic? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, it's a wonderful product when you think about it. You don't have to screw around picking weeds, but you just got to keep it away. So,
We started our discussion today talking about breakfast, and I came up with eggs, and you said that's a good thing to have for breakfast, but only 2 days a week.
Sure, 2-3 days.
2 to 3 days a week.
Sure.
What about the other 4 days a week?
I tend to like protein drinks, and we use certain proteins, we use greens, we use a lot of different things in our drinks, which really make a big difference. There's nut butters, there's nut butter sandwiches that you can use. There's different yogurts. I mean, there's lots of things that you can use that don't have gluten.
So the nut butters, like almond butter, peanut butter,
Sure.
That you can put on gluten-free crackers or gluten-free bread,
Yep.
or even on fruit. What about putting it on fruit?
You can. I would say that most people would want to stay away from fruit for breakfast. You're kind of mixing it up with a protein and some fat, so that's not as bad as just having it straight. But we tend to use these things. They're called coconut wraps. They're like a tortilla, but they're made out of coconut, and it's pretty good. We spread nut butter on it, and it works. Or even organic, non-GMO corn tortillas, and that works.
It's hard to find non-GMO corn these days.
It is.
Dr. Celaya, thank you for joining us. By the way, if you go to our website, you'll see a picture of Dr. Celaya and learn more about what he does, including his testing that he does. And I believe you can do consultations over the internet, can't you?
Absolutely.
Through Skype.
Sure.
So if you're interested in that, you should check him out by going to latenighthealth.com, looking under our guest tab for Greg Celaya, Celaya, and you can also check out his cookies at glutenfreecookies.com. Dr. Celaya, we'll talk again very soon.
Thanks, Mark and Daryl.
Thank you. Coming up next, Dr. Jamie Kaufman returns to Late Night Health. We're going to talk about acid reflux and how to treat it and how to prevent it. More coming up as Late Night Health continues.